Welcome to the No BS Short-Term Rental Podcast, an unfiltered look into the global vacation and short-term rental industry.
I'm Mateo Bradford.
And I'm John Stokinger.
And this is our podcast. We bring the right people to the table at the right time, giving you an inside view and take on the short-term rental industry like no other podcast can.
Morning, Mateo. How are you?
Brother, I am fantastic. You know, my 49ers and win this weekend. Still having a great week otherwise. And actually digging these new backgrounds, man. Like this is sharp. I like these. Good job, John.
Well, you know, every now and then I do some good things. So I'm digging them too. So season 4, episode 1. Yeah. Holy shit. 91st episode. We have a great guest. I'm super excited to chat with him. I've known him for a while. The industry knows him. Well, shit, let's just dig right in. Matt Durrette, thank you so much for joining us from Cozi VR. We appreciate you jumping on our podcast with us today.
Hey, thank y'all. Thank y'all for having me. I'm doing fantastic. Fantastic. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Well, for those that are listening, it's actually Thursday. And whatever it be, in the 9th of February, this will go out. This is the first episode, season 4. Season 4. I can't believe how fast it's going. We're quickly approaching 100 episodes. And Teo, he said when we hit 100, he's going to do a flip. So I'm excited to see that. We'll get it on record, and because we're definitely going to make 100. And my back hurts just thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's all right. Hey, Matt, talk to us about, well, again, thanks so much for jumping in with us. We're excited to learn about, I know your story pretty well. We've known each other for a few years. You're another one of those overnight successes, right? And for those that are watching on YouTube, you can see that I'm using air quotes for overnight success. Seemingly out of nowhere, here comes Cozi VR, and they're making waves. But this didn't come. This wasn't an overnight success. This is years of hard work and dedication and family and building a team. But talk to us about, we always kind of diving into, how the hell does someone get involved in vacation rentals? Because again, no one starts out going, well, maybe in the future, maybe soon someone's going, I want to get into vacation rentals. I'm going to go to school for that. But that doesn't happen. I'm looking back and, you're a financial analyst. You're working for, Northrop Grumman, out of Baltimore area, right? I mean, is that where you were with them?
Yep.
And
correct.
was that military stuff?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All DoD, aerospace, and defense work.
Okay. And are you prior military?
No prior military. Just through college internships and right up there after college.
Yeah, that's definitely the area for that for sure. In that DC metro area, Baltimore. So were you in Baltimore, or
Yeah, right downtown, right in the heart of the city. I grew up in Virginia. And okay. So, back when, when I was growing up, two close baseball teams, right? You had Atlanta Braves south, or you had, Baltimore just north. So I grew up big Cal Ripken fan, and, really, really loved the city, being in Virginia, and had numerous job offers after college, and just transparently, Baltimore had the best, just the best salary package. That's why I moved there, and it was a pretty cool city, and also kind of close to home.
Yeah, Baltimore is. I'm actually one of the people. I really like Baltimore. I like what they're doing. I like the transition. It gets it's like any other city in the world. It's good and it's bad. It's got a long legacy, a long history. It's unique.
Yeah. Star Spangled Banner. I mean, Edgar Allan Poe. I mean, you talk about everything there. It was moved there right at the very beginning of 2013. So I was there for almost 7 years. And
Camden Yards.
Yeah, I was 5 minutes walking to the stadium, to whether it's the Ravens or the Orioles and everything like there. So it was we had a blast. I love the city. It can get such a bad rep, but it really is an authentic city, blue collar city. People, it's a great 3-day town if you haven't been there.
Well, and it's interesting too, because you think about The Wire, of course, and you think about
that's all people think about,
and the things that even The Corner, what even predated The Wire. It's an American story of every city has got similar stories and similar spaces, right? Like just, it's the paradox of the city, right? It's a reality, it's a part of it, but it's not the end of the narrative. And you look at the transformation and like even what, that media kind of shined on to Baltimore, kind of pushed progression, right? Like in that story. But it is a very unique place. And shout out to Baltimore. So how did the transition happen? All right. So Northrop Grumman, right? And then, what tell us about the moment that just pinged you, what brick hit you in the head and was like, I'm getting into vacation rentals.
It's kind of a funny story because the more, this journey that I've been on for the last 10 years in this business, you talk to everyone, all my mentors, anyone you talk to, everyone has fallen into this industry almost. Yeah. You got some really great people, like Ben and Tiffany Edwards who have grown up in this industry, parents owning their own management companies. But most of the folks you talk to, they somehow fell into it and then fell in love with it. And it's kind of a funny story. All my two best friends, Dalton and Jeremy, we all got our first jobs out of college, things like that. And in 2013, we booked tickets to go to South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, ironically. And at that time, I'm a financial analyst at Northrop Grumman, and we all go there, and we're looking for hotels, right? We're looking for where can we stay? And I had never heard of Airbnb. I'd never heard of anything at the time. And my friend Dalton, he said, "Hey, well, I found like this great place on Airbnb," and he sends us the link over. I look at the link and it's outside camping. And I used to do a lot of hiking, a lot of camping, but I don't know about going to this like giant fest I've never been and just camping, but it was $42 a night. And it was on some guy's, 4 or 5 acre, private piece of land. And hotels, were $1,000 a night at a minimum. And Absolutely. I mean, for like a lowest end hotel. And then that was the first time, for instance, I ever had heard of Airbnb. I had ever, downloaded the app. And we ultimately said, you know what? Screw it. Let's do it. We'll camp for 3 days. It'll be a blast. And Dalton worked at American Airlines in Dallas. So flew to Dallas. And then, we took a boys road trip from Dallas down to Austin. And the place on Airbnb, and I have this even in some of our all hands presentations for our team, and I tell them the whole story as well. And it's a guy named Jimmo, and it's called Jimmo's Place. And it's like the description is like, laid back, authentic, like Texan who likes to have a good time and who has I forget the words for it, but has a alternative lifestyle is what it said on the posting. And didn't think anything of it. We get there and we pull in, and there's tons of Airstreams all over the property and little cabins and gardens and like outdoor showers and all this different stuff. And there's a few people already camping on the property, and we're maybe a mile and a half down what's called South Congress that goes right through Austin, one of the main strips to the festival. So it's perfect walking location to the city and out. And we get there, we're setting up the tents and stuff, and then I see someone naked walking in the distance, and we start to really realize quickly that this is a hippie commune, and there was 6 to 8 people who lived on that commune full time. And then they rented out maybe 40 to 50, camping spots for the weekend. And where my brain, went to was like, wait a second, like this guy's charging $42 per night per person, right? And I'm sitting there just like, wow, like this guy is, for I think it was like 5, 6 days people even camped there. So I started doing all the math in my head, just like really quickly. I'm just sitting here like, this guy's raking it in on this random app. And I started looking at the app, when we'd be going out to dinner or something. I'd just be investigating the app, looking at all the different stay option homes, apartments, rentals, bedrooms. And I'm starting to think like, I've got some student loan debt, I've got some credit card debt. Baltimore's expensive. I'm traveling, about 2 weeks out of every month anyways. And so I'm just sitting there the whole time, like, I'm gonna put my room up, for rent on Airbnb when I get back. And, that's how it all started. Wow. And so put my rate for rent, on Airbnb. I was making I think I had like a, great row home with other roommates, things like that, for several years, and had my own like private master bedroom kind of suite thing. But it was about $1,400 a month. And so I was covering my whole rent every single month. I was actually able to start saving. I was able to start paying off debt, putting bills away. And I started getting really, really great at it, driving a lot of reviews, and things like that. And I did that for about almost a year. And then
So you did that just a year, just your one room.
Yeah, just that one room.
So you started, the debt's starting to melt away.
STRs as wealth building tools.
Yeah. Exactly. STRs, wealth building tools. I'm thinking like Airbnb is this amazing thing. I'm like, yeah, I'm a host. I'm a super host. I'm all about it. One of the first few that are in, Baltimore City. And it was just up and coming kind of in Baltimore that you could see for, a lot of these homes. And then Baltimore came out.
This is all off your room?
Yeah, this all off the room.
And what was this date?
Roommates think? What did your roommates
Oh God, they were pissed. They were pissed. I never didn't really ask for approval, kind of asked for forgiveness later kind of thing.
Right.
They were not happy, random people parking in my parking spot, coming back through up to my suite. But it was a sweet house. They had a rooftop deck. You could oversee the whole city. You had, it was a great, they had their own private suite in the house. It was, all of that. And so, yeah, I should, in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have done it, but I wouldn't be here today, because my roommates, from security, all those different aspects at that time, I'm just thinking about, hey, this is a great way. I'm not home, and let me get some bills paid.
Numbers guy.
Yep. So that's really, really how it started. And then Airbnb came out with this program. They don't do it anymore, and I'm not sure why. What I assume happened is, it was called the co-hosting program, but they still have what's called, on Airbnb, everyone knows co-hosts, and they know that you can be a team member on there and things like that. But they actually highlighted you to be a property manager, but calling it, a co-host for your home.
Okay.
And they would highlight you. They ran for about 2 years, but I think they ran probably into a lot of legal issues in different cities, towns, not being licensed realtors and managing property and more than likely things like that in the program.
Right.
And so when that program started in 2014, I was able to add on whole properties, like immediately within like a month. It was like 9 to 10 homes, never managing whole properties before at all.
Wow.
And that program that they pushed out, really, I was one of the only super hosts in the city. I was one of the only people really taking it professionally outside of, maybe a house, that someone was trying to do themselves. Maybe a bedroom. And, we all know a lot of people can be crazy in this business on, the hosting side and taking it way, way, way too seriously. They're not really being innovative in solutions, things like that. And really overnight, I'm like, oh, wow, I'm a co-host for all these homes, but I had no idea that I was a property manager. Never in my mind I was like, man, I'm a property manager. I'm going to get these homes booked and market. And all I knew was if I took high quality photos, made sure houses were staged properly, everything looked good, we're gonna have people book it, because the Airbnb was really, really taking off. And that's all we were.
You're clearly setting up cleaners unless you're cleaning yourself, right? Like, do you think you came into this with clearly these preset business principles? I think it's what I want to ask is, like, you didn't know you were a property manager, but what did you think that you were doing? Because you clearly had a skill set that was able to see a picture, understand what you were doing, and execute clearly well. Like, if you're continuing to see success, right? Like, at what point did you realize you were actually doing this and that you are a part of this now? And it's like, oh shit, knowing that you're doing it differently, because these aren't these are things that people have legacy businesses around, right? Like, and have been here for a long time and don't get these things right and don't operate, right, aren't able to build these as strong, lasting businesses that have the ability to grow. Like, talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely thankful for, my business education, really, going to college, major in business management, thankful for all of that and all the theory and the studying and, kind of how all that, all that started. I always found myself growing things and selling things as well. I even as early as 7th grade, sold CDs throughout the whole school. Ultimately got in trouble for it, but made several $1,000s selling, bootleg CDs. And
I love
then
this. This is a recurring theme on our podcast too, by the way, of like kid hustling. Like this isn't, you're not the first and you won't be the last, but I love it.
Yeah. And then in college, I had my own, side like textbook selling business. And so
I sold some stuff in college too.
Yeah.
My parents were always so confused because there was like, you always have to work.
Right.
And, we're not going to, put you through college and decide you got to make sure you get a job. And they're always so confused because I never had a 9-to-5, but I would sell enough textbooks twice a year. At the end of the first semester and the last semester, I'd make plenty of money in the summer where I didn't have to work at college. But I always knew, something was in me that I always knew that I wanted to work for myself. But I always was intrigued by real estate. I do know that. And I really enjoyed, things in the real estate side. I was doing as much research I could as I was always thinking about becoming a realtor, things like that. And I really just got really great with the Airbnb process of the workflow. I really was able to take and understand from end to end each step and pain point of that Airbnb process. And a lot of stuff was manual back then, but I was able to map out all the different stages of that guest transaction and the guest stay and what each step took. And each time that we had that step, right, it was consistently evolving to be better and be better and be better. And so each new example that would happen or each new pain point and problem, we just put a solution in place. But, for the first 9, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. The interesting thing, and I apologize for interrupting, that you talked about what we were asking about when you realized you were a property manager, right? And what did that mean? And like truly, like for those that don't realize they're a property manager, you're really like a logistics manager.
Yeah.
You're moving like you're in the logistics game. You don't really know what you're doing, but you're really good at logistics. And you're taking and you're moving the pieces around and you're making it all work. And I love this story, and I'm excited to recap at the end your story because you're gonna think it's funny, but it's I'm sorry I derailed where you're going with it, but again it still always goes back to a hospitality with logistics. You're doing you have an interest in real estate, but again, what made it work is that you can make things happen with and moving pieces around.
Yeah, and it. I completely agree with you. And going to the first 9, it was, hey, the first 2 or 3, you really realized how much whole homes could generate. And all these homes, what I made sure though, is I was very strategic about where they were placed. I wanted them near the convention center, right? I wanted them near Orioles, Camden Yards, walking distance, having the right amenities, things like that. But it really wasn't until about the first 9 or 10 though, where I was like, wait a second, I'm actually managing all these homes. The first ones was, I felt like I was doing a service, to the owner, making sure I took care of them. But also I was really dedicated to ensuring that all the guests, guidebooks, they knew the best restaurants. I mean, I would even take guests out to dinner, meet them for lunch, take them around town, things like that. And then, where my wife Jenna got involved, we were dating then. We hadn't met right in Baltimore, but we met in 2014 and began dating in 2015. We ultimately moved in together as well. And we were even renting out, one of our private bedrooms in our home together, which was paying our entire monthly rent and double for, a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo in Baltimore. It was completely paid for, almost in double. And then when she came on, she really brought a lot of that creative side that I don't have. I'm able to really, really think through things on the financial side and build things on the putting it on paper. And that's my weakness. I can't even draw a stick figure if I wanted to. And that's and she really brought that kind of creative edge to what we have. And, she helped a lot with finding a lot of the cleaners, getting the homes, staged, decor, design. We didn't, and one of our biggest weaknesses, we didn't really know our value. I knew that, I was still young, was giving away a lot of services and skills, for free. We would decor full homes just to get the whole property,
right,
at just cost to the owner. We wouldn't even charge profit. just so we could get that home in our portfolio, because we knew the value long term of what that home was going to achieve for us.
These are necessary steps, right? You're
Yep.
calculating, what you need to do to get this business or this home or this house or these property, in the door for you. And, you're looking at long-term ROI out of this, and it's totally worth it to do things on cost.
Yep. And
Obviously you don't want to lose money on it.
No, but if you look at the value, obviously, long term. So, and then I'll never forget a representative from Andrew McConnell's company. This was in 2015 or 2016. They call me, and it was back when they rents.com. They were trying to find. Sid had several different models. They were trying to find.
We're very
property
familiar.
managers. Yeah,
it's because Mateo used to work for.
Oh, okay, yeah. So somebody calls me and they're like, "Hey, you're one of the highest rated people in Baltimore. We'd love to start getting you some homes your way." And that led into a lot more organic business. People finding me. So I was able to find all these platforms to kind of put our services on that, traditionally outside of Zillow or the MLS, or creating a long-term property management company and things like that. And one of our biggest challenges, though, in 2015 going to 2016, was we started adding all these homes. Jenna, my now wife, she was working at Under Armour. So she's from Austin, Texas, went to Texas Tech, majored in technical fashion design. She got a job right into Baltimore, Under Armour, right after college. And they're headquartered, right in downtown Baltimore. And so she's working full time. I'm working full time. And I didn't know that I wanted to be in this industry forever. But I was hitting those next little ceiling points at Northrop Grumman, where everyone around me had MBAs, and they all had all the extra curriculum and things that you had to do to keep up in that environment. And, I always wanted to get an MBA. I always wanted to go. I love education. I love learning. And so, started at the very beginning of 2016. I said, I'm going to go ahead and do this. At the time, we had about 20 to 25 homes at that point. And I don't know how I did it, but I did it. But then Northrop Grumman paid for the whole thing. Well, the biggest problem was, since they paid for it, I had to stay. And I didn't know that this thing was really going to take off. And it was just kind of this side thing over there that I was taking seriously, but also not. And we were down, and my brother at the time was living in Peru, taking like a certification course down there for actually his MBA program. And my wife and I went down there to visit him, and he was spot on. We're 4 or 5 days into the trip. And my brother just goes, "Matt, you've been on your phone the entire time." And I'm answering every message. I'm answering emails to guests, getting guests in, to all the smart locks. Some homes owners didn't want smart locks, so the keypad, the keys weren't there. Some constantly texting the local point of contact. And then I'm not even realizing that I'm in Peru, in this gorgeous place in Cusco and all these areas. We were there for 16 days, and we're 5 days in, and I'm just ingrained into that whole aspect of this other business. And I'm off from Northrop. I'm in between studies at St. Joseph's University, where I went in Philly, and not in class at that point. But I wasn't even enjoying my wife. I wasn't even enjoying my company with my brother. And he just said to me, he's like, and my brother, I've always looked up to him. He's about 3 or 4 years older, and he started an eco lodge in Honduras. It's one of the top 3 eco lodges in the country. Wow. And he's done a lot on the hospitality side. PMS, that's the first time I ever learned what a PMS system was his entire PMS system, managing his hotel and eco lodge. And that was in 2011. And he said, he said, "I've got a really great friend here in Honduras. She just got laid off. She's looking for another job. I think what you really need is," he said, I have full-time people who are always there are front-facing lines of customer service. They're calling guests, they're handling all the reservations. You really need what's called a reservation, or someone to answer all these and take that bulk work away from you. Then you and Jenna can focus on the ground." And so her name is Marcia, and he put us in touch, and she was our first customer experience representative for us down in Honduras, and that was at the very beginning of 2016, at the end of 2015.
Wow!
And she was able to get into obviously all the systems in Airbnb and VRBO, and take care of this legwork. It'll allow you to go
and focus on your wife and focus on a little bit of R&R and focus on building the business and not actually like managing. I mean, you're still managing, but not the day-to-day bullshit.
Correct.
And it's important, it's necessary. Someone needs to do it and it needs to be done well. But a guy like you or your wife or whoever you are can't wear all the hats when you're scaling at the rate you're scaling. And this is nothing compared to what you become. And I want to make sure that we get to where,
sure,
because I think that I definitely want to talk about the Honduras side of things. And, so we brought, is she still with you today?
Yeah. Yep. She's still with us. Oh, so Marcia, sorry. Yeah. So Marcia's still, so she went and got a great job in New York, but we have a team of 15 down there now, and 3 people have been with me there for going on almost 5 years.
That's amazing.
And so, and this is, if I'm not mistaken, you're still with Northrop, right? So
no. So I left Northrop in 2019.
Gotcha.
So we moved.
Okay.
If I fast track a little bit from Baltimore into getting here to Texas, we knew in about 2017 we wanted to get back here to Texas, and we're trying to figure out how to do that. And we built a lot of great systems, built a great team in Baltimore over the years, and then I went to VRSS Success Summit in early 2018, and that's when we launched with Cyrus. We launched with Beyond Pricing. I really realized at that moment this was an ecosystem of an entire industry. I met company owners after company owners and heard their story and watched what they built. I had just finished grad school too, and a lot of my MBA program really, I think, set me up for success to really think at an enterprise level of a company, not just starting, but really thinking about the systems and the processes and the people and the culture. It was a phenomenal program. It allowed me to really, I really want to implement all of these things I've learned in the business. And in 2018, through family friends, we were able to get our first property in Texas in Fredericksburg, and that's kind of how we got that first step into Fredericksburg. And so we're still in Baltimore, managing properties in Texas. We have properties in Baltimore. We have about another 10 cities that we're in up and down the East Coast as well. And that's my wife rebranded the company to Cozi Vacation Rentals. And so to getting to Texas, to Austin, where all our family was, she actually got a job with a startup company called Outdoor Voices that moved us there. And so while we moved in 2019, so I left,
and that's when we met, right?
Correct.
I think we met in 2019 because there's a lot of times that you were in Baltimore or you were here, you're kind of going back and forth and you're explaining this whole thing to me. And this is when I was with Track. And at that time, the Cyrus thing wasn't exactly working out the way you wanted it to. And so we were talking, and that's when I met and learned your story. And you're not in transition, but you're trying to figure out how to do both, but potentially figure out how to exit from the Baltimore East Coast side of things, because you're really liking the feel and what you could build in the Hill Country in Texas.
Exactly. And so after that first year of the data that we got from the first few homes, the ADRs were significantly, hundreds of dollars higher, right? Occupancy is super high, and just the quality and really understanding of what drive-to tourism is versus the urban market. It was not necessarily 10 times easier, but you really had a high quality guest with people paying a high quality amount of revenue. And that's really what transitioned us to thinking, hey, this is going to be a great market. And when you do all the data analysis and you see how big and how fast Texas was even growing at that time, and you're an hour from Austin, an hour from San Antonio, 3 hours from Dallas, or 4 hours from Dallas, 3.5 from Houston, and Fredericksburg is just exploding with winery after winery after winery after winery being built here. That's when we knew, hey, how can we make this work, and how can we really grow in Fredericksburg? And there's also another market here called New Braunfels that we're growing in as well. And both are phenomenal markets. And we wanted to figure out how do we make that work. And we knew we wanted to transition out of Baltimore at some point. And Baltimore was a great learning experience, but it gave us the foundations and those tools to say, I really want to build something special. It's kind of Cozi version 2, And what we had to really build was a culture and a true team. So
let's talk about what this culture and true team built, and I definitely want to talk about that. But let's quickly fast forward to today. So we talked in 2019. You transitioned to track. You're adding some different pieces to the puzzle as far as the tech stack goes. But again, the tech stack can only go so far without like a solid foundation of the right people doing the right things in a cohesive family, if you will, working together towards a similar goal. When we met, you had approximately how many properties?
We had 40 homes that time.
That's what I think. And so in 2019, you had 40 homes. And some of those were in Baltimore still. You got rid of those. Where are you at right now early 2023? Where are you at in unit count wise?
Yeah, so we have zero homes, in Baltimore on the East Coast, and we have 280, homes right now here in the Texas Hill Country, and we're onboarding about 10 homes per month.
Yeah.
So from 40 to 280, and half of that some of that 40 was Baltimore.
Correct. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And again, for those that listen, scaling to property managers is different for everybody. Some are very happy with, I want, we're getting to 50, or some would be very happy staying at 40. Like, this is where we want to be, and you can make a good living and you can be very happy with that. And so whatever anyone's definition of success is, we applaud you for that. And as long as you are happy in your day to day, but like, let's talk about that's not
that, John, real quick, because that's something that he did that the industry acknowledged, to the point where you're giving presentations on how to scale, on how you scale, right? And like how to scale. Where did your foundation for what you built come from? Like, when did you realize like that you knew that this growth was going to happen, and you seem to have taken a very deliberate and a very, educated and a very planned out scaling model that is showing success to the point where, and you're sharing the knowledge, right? Like, how did you get to that point to know that like that was your path? Because we see
it. Yeah, it was. I mean, COVID is really what allowed me to know that this was the path. Really, how much that affected everyone, in the US, and the different trends that were happening. I was, looking at all the trends, and I was really starting to notice suddenly bookings disappeared, right? Homes are, for 2 months, no one's getting reservations.
right.
Baltimore, everything shuts down there completely. But out here in Texas Hill Country, things are still open. I started watching messages. Hey, we want to work from home, booking 2, 3, 4 weeks, which is our normal average stay here is 3 days max. And watching all these trends, but then suddenly bookings just really start to flood through. And it was almost like overnight, just like the water hose was just turned on immediately. And that's when we took, every savings that we had and said, we're going to invest it into the Texas Hill Country, into Fredericksburg. And because I think there's a wave coming, not only of guests, but it's going to bring owners and a lot of people into this marketplace. And we went all in immediately. I mean, this is during the heart of COVID. Got our first office space right on Main Street. I mean, we went and invested, started our partnership with Ventory, right off the bat. And while other people were conserving capital, we put it forward and said, we're going to invest and be here first. Just put our first forward, and I'm going to take this risk. But it was calculated, and it was scary, right? Because you just didn't know what was going to happen and all the different shutdowns and things like that. But I could really start to see just how great of a market this is going to be, because people needed to do something. They had to get out of the house, and Fredericksburg was a phenomenal market for that. So it was kind of that right place, right time. But that's where we took every dollar we have ever saved and reinvested it all back into the business. And we doubled down on the Texas Hill Country market. And it is absolutely, obviously, it's just exploded over the last, it's been exploding for years, but over especially the last 2.5 years in this market, it's really, really, really taken off.
How are you? And congratulations again. It's like, I love your success story. I love seeing where you guys are going. And I'm excited to see where you're going to continue to go. But when you came in with 40 units or 30 or whatever in the hill country, you're not the only player in the game, right? There's some other companies there doing business, and I wonder what they think, like who this Cozi coming in out of nowhere. Do you have decent relationships with the other companies or is it cutthroat? My assumption is you're getting and again, this is an assumption, you're getting the lion's share of the inventory is going your way because they're seeing your growth. You're seeing you're reinvesting into the community and your company. But what does that, the competition in your market look like?
Yeah, there's a lot more competition now, than even then. Back then there was, 4, really big household names in our market: Absolute Charm, Guest House Schmidt. And then you had Casa, and then you had what's called Fredericksburg Premier, were really the only people that were in our market at that time. And they were all, phenomenal companies and great people. And I didn't really know them or any of the owners at all. And where we got close, though, there was some regulation that came, and really not too bad regulations. We all had to work together the last year, but we did come in, and a lot of our inventory really came from Big Casa. I put our office 2 doors down on purpose. So we were 2 doors down. Our office looks exceptional. I mean, it's one of the nicest offices in the entire town, number one. But number two, we keep it really maintained just like we're going to keep your property maintained. And if you were to stand out front and just take a widescreen image of ours and Big Casa's, you could just see there's no care over here. And there was no passion. There was no anything into that office, and just that footprint. And we took a lot of inventory from them. And what we were realizing too at that time, right, was Big Casa, they kept things closed for almost like 6 months in some areas during COVID. And so we were able to get a lot of homeowners from that, where people needed money. They needed that revenue. They couldn't just float these costs.
Yeah.
And so we had a lot of people transition over to us as well. But we were able to position ourselves in a great way with what our value was. And I did a lot of initial reach out with each and every owner. I still do a lot of that. I want owners to know who they're speaking with.
Yeah.
I want them to see who is running this company and who is running it from the top down. I really want to build that relationship. And I think that's made a huge difference, as well. But we were able to position ourselves from the marketing standpoint to really capture leads, have a very unique proposition, but provide that value to the owner. And every management company is going to make grave mistakes, right? Everyone's going to make a mistake. You're not going to make every single owner happy. But if we could follow up and truly build that partnership, I think that's what the difference is.
Yeah.
We really were looking to build that partnership with them. And if we can make them successful, that's how we're going to be successful. And that's really what positioned ourselves first. But it was just a lot of great partnerships with, companies like Ventori, really, being able to scale and attract John when we met, we made a huge world of a difference though. That product for us at that time was just perfect for what we needed. And it's been it's allowed us to scale, like we have. But from a competitor standpoint, I'm sure they weren't, who is this Cozi coming out of nowhere? Right. Who's this guy, Matt, in the last 3 years taking up a good majority of the inventory? And, we've positioned ourselves now as the largest management company here in Fredericksburg in less than 3 years. And so I'm sure, just like the Georgia game, where the coach kept saying, we're still hunting though. I know people might think they're hunting us, but we're hunting just as hard as to be the best company as we can and continue. Our job is to put our owners first, our employees second, and then guests third. And the bar has been set right. So guests expect cleanliness. They expect phenomenal communication. That's a non-negotiable. So when I put guests third, it's not just putting them third in the totem pole. It's because I already know we've got that perfect.
Right. So you got that perfect. So everything else is just a bar above. And let's talk about that. You're talking about partnerships, and you're talking about using outsourcing with Honduras. And, I've noticed for the past 2 years, you brought a friend of the show, friend of the industry, Doug Kennedy down.
Yeah.
And, you're working and he's come down and worked, and you guys do an offsite down in Honduras. And I think I've seen you there, and you fly a decent amount of people from your team down there as well. I mean, talk to what that does and how does that this really infuse positivity in exactly what you're talking about, this higher tier of culture. Like,
Mhm.
how does that allow you? I mean, to me, that it's small things like that, which are actually very large things that keep those top, the tiers above guests,
Yep.
like in the forefront for you all and for Cozi.
It's for you for me, I never took culture seriously until about 2018. I never realized how important culture is, right? When you're out of college, when you're Grumman and you sit for 4 straight days and you're just going through some slideshow and it's reiterating their values, and it's just like, very nonchalant. It's like, how can I take this seriously? How can I take HR seriously and culture and people? And you really, I think from the employee side, when you're first starting out, you don't understand how important it is sometimes. And for big companies, but I think people more than ever before, they want to feel a part of a team. They want to feel a part of a mission. They want to get behind something. And like we discussed earlier, everyone falls into proper management, right?
Yeah.
I never grew up saying I wanted to be a proper manager. I wanted to play professional golf or I wanted to play professional baseball. That's what I wanted to do. And I fell into this, but I love it each and every day. And what I do each and every day is for my team, my staff, and our people and our owners.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to have any other way. And I take culture so seriously now, and it is the most critical aspect. So with building out this entire team of the last, I really look at it as about a 3-year mission of rebuilding the brand and the team. And our Honduras team has been with us the longest, but we didn't really have a team. Here in Fredericksburg, we outsourced all the cleaning, all the property management for the first 2 years. And then we invested all of our savings to hiring full-time property managers, full-time boots in the grounds, full-time cleaners, etc. But what doesn't work is you're throwing bodies at things. When there's a problem that presents itself, just saying, hey, we're going to go hire someone to solve that, that's your first mistake.
Well, yeah, you're being reactive.
Exactly. You're not being proactive. And my business partner, Scott, he's our chief technology officer, and he came on in 2017 with us. But we both agreed, hey, we're going to start hiring from the top down, but we're going to build this right. We're gonna really start using things like predictive index, culture index. We're going to use tools like Better Talent, and we're going to invest into a system that I had done tons of research on last year called EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System.
Yep.
And so that system has changed not only our culture, but how we are run and how we organize all of our operations. It's a scientific way to manage and run the operations of your business, and you do it from the top down, from your leadership team. From me to what's called an integrator, to then your whole leadership team as a company, all the way down to each and every department. So each person understands what success looks like. They understand their goals, etc. And what we
said EOS.
EOS. Yeah.
Right. Let's if you have a link for that, because I'm sure there'll be some people listening that want to dig a little bit deeper into that. Make sure you share.
Yeah, it's big. We've used it, EOS and Traction.
Yeah, I definitely want to go ahead and share. There you go.
Right. Yeah. It's a game changer for companies that are able to execute it successfully, for sure.
Yeah. And we're about a year in, but I'm tying it all back to our Honduras team, because what was really struggling with us for a while is what I started to notice is we are so busy here growing on the ground and really building the operation footprint that our Honduran team felt disconnected.
Yeah.
They didn't feel like they were part of the team. They were on the, we would do, bi-weekly virtual happy hours. We do all the things we could try to do to keep it integrated, but they didn't know what success looked like. And they didn't understand what our company mission was. And they didn't understand what our values and what our principles were. And to be very frank, I think up until about summer of 2020, I think I had lost a little bit of, hey, what are our new values now? What is our mission statement? And what is our 1, 3, and 10-year goal? And that's all outlined in US when we had to set up. And it really allowed us to reconsider and kind of rebuild our company into that version 2 and rebuild it right. And that's when we started really doing a lot of that investment into every staff member, our culture, our mission, our values, and really building out that family. and then sending Doug Kennedy down, going down with their team, integrating them, with our team, flying that whole team up here to see the homes that they're actually speaking with guests about, coming here to Texas, being a part of our team, integrating themselves and understanding the culture and understanding everything here, but really integrating them into our team. And that has been, a phenomenal thing that's really changed the game for that team down there. But where we are one of the industry leading employers down there now in Honduras, we have people all the time that message me on LinkedIn, and our team always looking to get a job with us. And Honduras can be it's a phenomenal country with a lot of great culture, but they have their challenges like anybody else. And
absolutely,
it can be a very 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 rough country in certain areas, and they're still coming out of a lot of the issues from the 70s and 80s and from Nicaragua and things like that. And they're trying to figure it out. And jobs down there are scarce. Growth in companies are scarce. An actual career with an employee who cares about you is scarce. So being able to work for a great company and really be a part of a team is phenomenal. We send all the team members out to dinner once a month. We'll send hey, here's a bonus. Take your whole family out for dinner. Take your whole family out here, and doing a lot of engagement activities, because they all work remotely, and they work from home. They have a laptop, everything, and they work in a lot of the major cities there. But they all come together and work at co-works and things like that. And we've done surveys to ask if, hey, do you want us to open up an office down there? And the answer is no. They love being able to be at home, take care of their families, be around their family. And so it's been a really, really, just great experience. But what they pride themselves on really is working for someone great, a really team environment, but really that training aspect as well. Being able to go down there and hear everyone's stories and work with them, one-on-one with, Doug and Kathy Kennedy and our team. And it's something that we do every single year, and we get them all, hospitality certified and everything like that. So it's been, when I think about the why that I do this, it's always for our team and that team down there as well.
I absolutely love it's a warmth and it's heart in an industry that it's built on that, right? It's built on hospitality, but you don't see it all the time where it's actually turned, like there's a mirror, you're looking at it and it's brought actually back onto you, into your team. And I love that. And I think there's a lot that can be learned with that. I know we're getting close to time here, but I want to talk about where you're going. Where's Cozi going? Like we've talked about how you've gotten here. We're talking about the focus on the family, basically, right?
Yeah.
How do you taking care of that, but is where do you see Cozi at the end of, and I don't care numbers wise that we already talked that. Where do you see, what's the next chapter of Cozi?
So our next chapter is, again, won't talk number wise, but by the end of this year, our 1-year plan, which starts, we reset it for 2023, is to be the number one place to work in Fredericksburg, Texas. And having the best employees. When you have phenomenal team members, employees, and the right processes, the right systems, you can then service your owners. You can then service your guests. And that's the biggest thing that we're investing in, to your point, is that culture and our people to be one of the top places to work. And we have all the ways to measure that, everything like that. And then we're going through right now another, a great rebranding and things as well. So, we have evolved our logo of Cozi over the years, and we're moving to go forward. We're still be Cozi Vacation Rentals, but we're moving our whole brand to the theme of truly stay cozy. And so everything from Cozi VR is going to be staycozy.com. My email will no longer be Matt at Cozi VR, be Matt at Stay Cozy. And everything we do is about staying cozy. And my wife and I met on this several months ago, and really talked about it. Cozi started simply because what we noticed was all the comments of people telling us how comfortable their mattresses were, how comfortable their bedding was, how amazing the pillows that we used to take so much pride in making sure that everyone had a great night's sleep. And we still take a lot of that pride, but it's very hard when you have so many owners to instill that same standard. And it's where we're working towards, where each guest should have an amazing and cozy stay. And their mattresses, from sheets to pillows, everything should be perfect. And that's what we're really going to be revitalizing. And we're really going to be moving towards that experience of stay cozy. And that's where the future is going for us. And doesn't matter how many homes we have, things like that. But over the next 3 years, we want to be the best vacational company in the Texas Hill Country, and that's our goal. And we're gonna hit it. And that's our dream, but we're measuring that dream, right? We're measuring what success looks like every single quarter. Because if you don't, it's just going to be a dream. And we've blown each goal out of the water the last 4 years, and I really think we'll be able to achieve that. And if we can promise to our guests or owners that cozy experience, and we can have phenomenal employees, there's no way that we won't hit that goal.
Love it.
I love it. Yeah, that actually took my last question. I was going to ask you what you wanted your legacy or your fingerprint to be on the industry. And I think we've gotten a really great picture of that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And people, they talk about all these big franchise models and they want to take the company across the US. I have no desire to do that. We have an 11-month-old family's big to me. I think if we can be something really special here, for me, that's a great quality of life for me as well. And I think that's all we want to do. We don't want to take this across the US or anything. We just want to be the best here in the Hill Country.
Yeah, absolutely love it. For those of you, check out the website. You're going to have a link to staycozy.com and Cozi VR. And also we'll go ahead and drop a link about EOS if you want to kind of head and dive a little bit deeper into that. Please make sure you're liking our YouTube. Make sure you're leaving a 5-star review, and you are going ahead and leaving a review on iTunes. Where is it?
Like, listen, subscribe, iTunes,
Podcast,
Spotify, Apple Podcasts,
everything.
Amazon, Audible.
Google. Matt, thank you so much. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you all for having me. I appreciate Mateo. Thanks, John. Y'all have a great day. Thank you.
This podcast is a Hospitality.fm production.